Now I'm going to explain how to change the configuration settings on the Z-Boat CCM. So what we have to do is access the config file on the CCM, and what that will do is change the baud rates that the CCM is accepting on the COM ports. So we have three COM ports: GPS, autonomy, which is used right now for the compass, and also the sounder. And those three COM ports have three separate baud rate settings that you can change on the config file. And if your config settings do not match the output baud rates of your instruments, then the data will not be transferred into the CCM and it will not appear on the Shore PC when you're doing the survey. So it's important to make sure that the baud rates match, and if you need to use equipment that uses different baud rates, then you need to be aware of how to access the config file and change the baud rates on the CCM. So the first thing to do is make sure the CCM is completely powered off, and the collect configure switch is in the configure setting, and then you plug in the USB cable from the computer to the CCM, and that will power up the memory card inside the CCM and allow you to have access to the config file. So I plugged in the USB cord. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, so you need to be patient. So it doesn't pop up straight away, just wait for a few seconds and you'll get this dialog box here. Don't worry about that, just click on continue without scanning and open folder to view files. So the SD card in the CCM holds the config file, and it acts just like an external thumb drive. So here you can see the config file here, some session files which are just data that is stored from previous surveys. Every time you turn on the CCM it will start recording a session file. And here's the config file here, so we can double click on this and you can access the baud rates. Pretty straightforward here. We can just change the baud rate to match what the equipment that you have is outputting. And when you're finished and you've got your settings correct, you can save the file and it will wipe the previous config file. Note that we have sounder, GPS and autonomy. The autonomy port is where the compass or the heading sensor is installed. So for autonomy you can read compass. The MUX board is the output board of the Z-Boat CCM, so your Shore radio needs to be set to accept the 115/200 baud rate. And you don't need to worry about deleting this config.txt file. If you accidentally delete it, it will be automatically refreshed, so you don't need to worry about that. So that's how to change the configuration file, and we can just close out of that, and now this the CCM is set to receive the new baud rates.